Well, thank you very much, Chair Heinrich and Ranking Member Hoeven. I do look forward to working with both of you and Vice Chair Collins and everyone on the subcommittee as we return to regular order for the first time in years. And I'll keep saying it is not going to be easy, but we have to live up to our responsibility to pass these funding bills in a timely, bipartisan way to keep our families strong and our economy strong and our country competitive on the world stage. And as this hearing should remind all of us, that requires a good deal more than just defense spending. After all, at the most basic level, we can't have strong communities if people can't put food on the table. And that's as important as it is obvious. We have to make sure that our food supply is secure, and that means protecting our families from unsafe food. It means protecting them from shortages, so avoiding and mitigating supply chain disruptions, addressing the climate crisis like droughts, which can threaten crops that all of us rely on. And it also means addressing food insecurity so the food families need to stay safe and healthy is available and accessible and affordable. This is essential to keeping our nation strong, not to mention competitive. For one thing, and speaking as a grandmother and a former preschool teacher, our kids cannot grow and thrive in body and mind if they are not getting the nutrition they need, which is why the school lunch programs are so important and why fighting food insecurity and getting family support is a priority of mine as we negotiate the Farm Bill as well this year. And as my colleagues know, agriculture is also a huge part of our economy. In my state, every day, apples and cherries and wheat and potatoes and pulse crops and so many other commodities from Washington State are shipped across the world for people to enjoy. But we need to make sure that our farmers and our growers are getting the support they need to compete across the world as well, including through the research happening at institutions like my alma mater, Washington State University, and across the country to address our water shortages and our improve yields and reduce inputs and a lot more. So I'm really glad we have the opportunity now to assess what we need to do to support our communities through the important programs here at the Department of Agriculture, and look forward to working with this committee as we put this bill together. So, Mr. Secretary, I have a few questions for you, starting with that growers in Washington State and across the country face a lot of challenges: extreme heat, wildfires, invasive pests, plant diseases, and USDA's research has supported American farmers and ranchers in adapting and responding to these challenges so they can continue to produce a safe and abundant food supply. This research is often carried out in partnership with our universities, like Washington State University, where students and faculty work together on solutions to these challenges. Can you speak to the importance of strong research investments in our nation's food supply?
Well, they are essential, Madam Chair, and I would say that this budget that we've proposed is suggesting an increase in the AFRI program, which is the program that provides that partnership between our land-grant universities, historic black colleges, minority-serving institutions to be able to conduct that research. I would say, frankly, that as a nation, we have underfunded research in agriculture for far too long. When you compare it to some of the other areas of our economy, agriculture research has been underfunded for a substantial amount of time, and I'm hopeful that we get the increase that we're seeking because it does bear fruit. It does provide increased productivity, greater resilience, adaptation and mitigation of climate, new opportunities to use agricultural waste product to produce a whole array of bio-based products that can improve job growth and farm income. So it is essential, and we would certainly be willing to talk to you in more detail about precisely where those resources should be.
So bottom line is research saves money in the future and helps produce more food and all the things we need for our economy.
Every dollar of research generates $20 or more of economic opportunity.
Yeah. Mr. Secretary, I'm very concerned about the House GOP calling for steep cuts to critical programs like our federal food assistance. My family relied on food stamps when I was growing up, and my dad lost his job because he got sick. And so I really understand how important this is for people, and I'm focused on making sure that we support SNAP and the families who rely on it in our Farm Bill this year. As appropriators, we also have a role to play in making sure we have full funding for nutrition programs, WIC, school meals, fresh fruit and vegetable program. Can you talk to us about why it is so important that we fully fund the nutrition programs?
Well, the research has shown that the SNAP program has a positive impact on reducing poverty. And for children, it also improves children's health if, in fact, the benefits are meaningful. I think it's important for people to know who is actually receiving SNAP. More than 80% of SNAP recipients are either people with disabilities, senior citizens who've worked all their life but are living on a fixed income, or working moms and dads with children. There's a lot of conversation about able-bodied adults without dependents, but you need to know who those folks are. There was a survey done in 9 states. I think Washington might have been one of those 9 states. Taking a look at who those able-bodied folks were, what they found was that they were mostly men and mostly homeless, mainly homeless. And I suspect that many of them are probably homeless veterans. And so I think as we look at the circumstances and situations to try to assist, I think we should be spending more time focusing on states' efforts with employment and training. Your state, by the way, has one of the premier employment and training efforts in terms of trying to connect people. If you think about it, and Governor Hoeven, Senator Hoeven, now he knows this, states know who the recipients are because they administer the SNAP program. They also know where the jobs are. They also operate workforce development. And the question is why we can't do a better job of spending the $100 million on employment and training to basically allow those things to connect so that the jobs that are available are linked to the people that need them and can actually do them.
Thank you very much for that. And finally, in Washington State, I have a lot of constituents working on regionally important water storage projects in the Yakima and Columbia basins. Those projects require ongoing technical assistance and support from local staff at the National Resources Conservation Service. I often hear about how long it takes to work with NRCS or to get assistance. Underfunded local staff are stretched really thin, and it would be an enormous mistake, I believe, to make things worse by gutting these agencies working to conserve our vital watersheds. Can you speak to what the risks are to our folks who are working on these projects if we cut these budgets?
Well, the reality is that you'll have 84,000, even the most, if you take not the most draconian reduction that people are talking about, but the less draconian version, it's 84,000 farmers who won't get the technical assistance that they need in order to complete the planning, in order to get the conservation benefit that they seek for their operation. So it's a very real impact, and we have made a concerted effort to try to rebuild the workforce at NRCS, because when I came back to this job, there were 6,500 fewer people working at USDA than before, and the morale was incredibly low. So we've had a process of trying to rebuild both the workforce and the morale.
Thank you very much. I absolutely agree.